Shalom, this is Sophia, the AmaruKhan Miriyam, and this is kind of like a wrap-up video and a prep video for some of the things that happened last week and some stuff that's coming in the current week. So the first thing is that I wanted to backtrack a little bit to this concept of the evening and the morning being the first day. Of course, in Genesis 1, it says the evening and then the morning was the first day. And it's very specific not to say the day and the night, or the night and then the day was the first day, but that the evening and the morning was the first day. So the bottom line, or what we have concluded based on that statement, is that the evening always precedes the night, okay? And that the morning always precedes the day. The evening, the eve, is represented by, of course, Eve and our sister Philomena, and it is a indistinguishable part of the night. Okay? And then you have the morning, or the morning star, which is our brother Yeshua. He is indistinguishable from the day. And so you have this in that statement, the description of the yin and the yang, because you have the day, it flows seamlessly through the evening into the night, which flows seamlessly through the morning into the day. And that is the cycle. Okay. And so you could do a lot with that information, and we will definitely get into it in more detail at a later date and time. But I wanted to put that in your mind so you could think about it. The other part of that is that there's a difference between recovery and rediscovery. And we want to be very intentional with our language. Another thing that we have to look out for is uploads versus downloads. Okay, but let's start with recovery and rediscovery. Upon some research, which you can do, we found out that when you rediscover something, you are actually making a deal to conceal it. And when you recover something, you're returning it to its rightful order and its rightful owner and its rightful place. It is a restoration mission. Whereas rediscovering something is actually making a deal to conceal it. And so we're not saying that we are rediscovering ourselves. I'm not rediscovering myself. I'm recovering the pieces of me that have been lost, not rediscovering myself. And they use this magic, this word magic, to keep us tied down and held down into these different things, which is not good. Okay, that's rediscovery versus recovery. The second part of that is, like I said, uploads versus downloads. When you download something, you are downloading information that was not previously accessible to a blank device, or a device that does not have that information. We are not downloading. We are uploading information. Everything is contained inside of our DNA. All the information of everything, all the possibilities, infinite possibilities are contained within our DNA. So we are not downloading information from source. We are uploading information from source or wherever to who we are. So that leads me into another part of this. I did make a post about, people thinking about regression therapy, and I want to talk about this, this thing with Q Reeves, and maybe some people saw him on Black Magic talking about Yeshua and all of that. And so I want people to understand this is the difference between a download and an upload. When you download information onto something, it is a device that does not have the previous experience with that thing which is being downloaded, because it's either been erased and removed, or it just never had it. So that's downloaded information. There are different kinds of people on this planet, and you can't tell who is who by looking at them, period. We need to just get that totally out. You cannot tell who is who by looking at them. There are people who are downloading information from source or from different places, which is not going to resonate with your personal experience, because you may not be a person who has to have this information downloaded. Meaning, if you think about it, there are infinite possibilities of things that could happen, that did happen, that may happen. There's infinite possibilities, okay? If there's infinite possibilities, that means all those possibilities did happen at some point. When people are channeling, depending on who they're channeling and what their purpose is, they could be channeling one of these other timelines, one of these other alternate realities. Everybody that we see in the physical is not even necessarily from this physical reality. There's a lot of different pieces going on. It's a lot of moving pieces, and there's a lot of options. And so to hear someone talk about Yeshua and say, oh, well, Mary was real, but she was abused and this and that. That is a possible timeline. Absolutely. I am not discounting that as a real possible timeline, as a real thought, as a real thing. However, that is not part of my experience, nor is it a part of the timeline that I'm on. And being that I am a guardian of the elemental realm, I'm a participant in the elemental realm. We are helping to shape the elemental realm. That is not something that actually resonates with the elemental realm that we're in. And so you have to be thinking about, when you hear people channeling, it's not that the information is not useful, and it's not that the information is not true, but it may not relate to the realm that you operate in. We all operate in different realms. That's another thing. Just because you see a person, you could literally see a person in front of you. They could be operating in a totally different realm. And you have to just be aware of that. And it's not to say that the information is wrong, like I said, or I'm arguing it, disagreeing or agreeing. I'm not doing anything with any of that. We don't even do that anymore. It doesn't make sense. What I'm saying is, you as an individual who is a consumer of information needs to understand that the things that resonate with you are things that are inside your realm, and the things that do not resonate with you could be outside of your realm. And being that we are over here learning how to be the go-between, the trifurcation, you may say, between the realms, it could be relevant to know that information when you're dealing with someone who is from that particular realm. So that's information that could be useful. But if you just totally discount it, you could miss the opportunity to have the information and be able to help someone who comes from that realm. This is specific. This is expressly true when it comes to people who are lunars. Lunars do not have the same experience as people who are elemental or primary beings from this planet. It does not mean that lunars are not useful or helpful or anything. It just means that their experience is going to be different. So another example of this is like just today they announced that a huge comet or something hit the moon, right? And so you may think, well, that doesn't have anything to do with me. Something I did hear that did resonate with information that I've picked up previously is that Earth is the only place of incarnation. It's not that there's not life on other planets. It's just that you can only incarnate on Earth. So if a rock hits the moon, that means you're going to see it impact. Some lunars are going to be impacted by this in some way. We have yet to see how this is going to actually manifest. But if I had to intuit, I would think that there's probably going to be some kind of rock slide or something that takes out some hailstorm maybe, or just some rocks falling from the sky that take out a bunch of lunars. And the lunars may be black skin, or they may be white skin, or they may be tan or yellow, purple, green. I don't know what color the lunars are that's going to be taken out by that rock that hit the moon. But there's definitely going to be an impact. And that's one reason why I want to make this video today, because when the impact comes to these lunars and you're like, well, why is this happening? Well, it happened on the moon, and the moon is the closest place to here. And so that's going to be quite impactful to a large swath of lunars. Okay. And so we have to start to be able to read these different realms with new eyes. We have to look at things and really put it into a different perspective. So I think that that particular epic of Yeshua that Q Reeves brought forward from the brother Craig was very, very interesting. And having another thing I want to talk about, the Mater Christi book. We are going to definitely go into some deep dives with that particular book, because it is really I would say it's like a guide for being an elemental magician almost, because it discusses how much you have to, the capacity you have to have for feeling and for helping people is way bigger than I understood until I finished that book. And so I did share it before on my timeline, so I highly suggest you take a look at it. Oh, that's why I couldn't get anything else open. I need to open that book. So I highly suggest that you take a look at it and prepare. We're going to be talking about that, especially those who are going to participate with our Elemental Magician course. So we do have an Elemental Magician course that's going to be coming up. The way that this is going to work is that we're going to have at least 2 meetings a month. We're going to discuss the energy for the new moon, and we're going to discuss the energy for the full moon, and make sure that we are prepared with all of our different bits and pieces to be able to take advantage of that energy. The way the class is going to set up is that it's going to be free. If you attend the class live, that's going to be free. If you want the replays and any materials that are discussed in the course, then you're going to need to sign up for the course. The way that's going to work is that there's going to be a sign up page on my website, and it's going to be $10 per month. You sign up for a month, you pay your $10. If you want the next month, you sign up for a month and you pay your $10. Or you can sign up for a whole year, pay $100, and you will get all the information that comes out every month. So if you paid $100, that's a $20 discount, okay? But you'll get all the classes for the whole year. And that's how I'm going to handle that. I assume I'll be handling that with other information moving forward. I like the idea of using Patreon, but I do not like the idea of Patreon having control of my money. And so that's why we're going to do it as a class. It simply makes more sense to have control over how I actually get access to my funds, being that I already have a lot of targets, and so to make it less targeted, it's just easier to set it up like this. So this is going to be a class. This is the elemental magic class. So the way that I'm going to handle things is I'm going to make as many of my and we're not going to use Zoom. There's a program called AirMeet, and AirMeet is, you don't have to actually download it. I used it yesterday for another woman who does channeling. So that means the classes are going to be exactly an hour. We're not going to be on there for 5 and 6 hours. It's going to be exactly an hour. You don't have to download anything. You can participate, ask questions, everything directly from the actual from the website, going to the website. And the thing I like about it is that I can get the recording of the class, and it's not going to have the comments. So I don't have to worry about you being, your comments being visible when I put it into the actual course. And then I can take the video, and if there's personal stuff in there, I can cut it down or whatever. And so that's what we're going to use. So if you sign up for my newsletter, which is in the description box, you will get the link for the course, for the Zooms, I'll just call them Zooms because people understand that, for the meetings. Every other week, you'll get the link for that. You can participate live, and there's no problem. And then if you want the replays, you can pay your $10 get the course and you'll get the replays. Okay. Because this information, it needs to be disseminated. It's not like I'm not trying to gatekeep it. I don't want to charge for information, but if I have to process it, put it on the website, all of that, then yet I think that that's fair, and I think that gives everybody an opportunity to participate without having to go through too many hoops. Even Zoom, you have to pay and all of this, too much. So just to keep it simple and cost effective and all of that, that's the way that it's going to go. I've also updated my listings. I'm not going to be running Cash App specials anymore. We're going to do everything through the website. So the prices have been updated to reflect that. It's a little bit, I don't like missing people's stuff, and with Cash App, I've missed a few things, and so I want to just run this more professionally moving forward. It's a lot of work that has to be done, and so I need to be prepared to integrate in whatever new stuff comes in, and I feel like just having it in one place so that it's easy to understand, easy to accomplish, makes it available for other people, and for me to scale up, because scalability is going to be a concern moving forward for me, and capacity. Because if I'm channeling, and so what I realized that, this is kind of in the same line of the other stuff. What I realized that all the readings I've been doing, I was literally channeling. Like, I just didn't know that it was channeling. But I know that it's channeling because when I watched the lady do the channeling session yesterday, she did what I do, which is like flip back and forth between having a conversation, repeating exactly what you hear, and having a conversation about what you're seeing. I do that. I didn't know that that is like a thing for channelers, that you can go back and forth between what you're hearing and what you're seeing. So I have been channeling. I just didn't know that was channeling. She actually got a percentage when she was almost done. Me, I've just like done too much channeling and then couldn't do anything for a week. So I just didn't realize that that was like, that's actually channeling. So all of the readings that I do are channeled readings. And the ones I do for individuals, they're channeled readings from the information that I gathered. So I'm seeing the pictures, because that's what I was doing before. Once I had this spiral, I'm seeing the pictures so I can let you all see the pictures that I'm seeing. Then I can actually channel the information down that can be helpful. That's extremely different. I don't know people who do stuff like that. So that's why we have to call what we do channeling too, because it is. There's many, many different ways to channel. There's not just one way, and it's not just you zone out and all of a sudden you're just, talking and you have no control. No, everyone doesn't have to channel like that. And especially if you're doing elemental magic, you got to be able to describe what you see. You got to understand that it's like a lot of stuff going on and you're trying to just pare it down and be specific. You got to get in the zone, and especially elemental magic deals with the incense, the candles, all that type of stuff. So we're getting into that, but we're coming at it from a position of extreme integrity, and extreme understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. Again, the reason why I'm calling it elemental magic is because we are the ones who are the gatekeepers of the elements. Period. As a matter of fact, I'll share it. Maybe I won't link it. I'll share it. Because I know people can't tolerate fairies and rainbows and stuff. But Magenta Pixie did released a channeling session today. And in the channeling session, she talked about how there was a particular Celtic goddess who was going to be in charge of the elemental world, the fairy world. Well, the name she called the goddess in the recording was not a name I had heard. It sounded like Bridget, but it wasn't Bridget. So I went and looked for this goddess, and I was like, no, this don't sound like Bridget. So you would not believe, this is how prepared we are for the job that we're going into over here. The particular goddess, which I can't remember her name, I can't remember her Celtic name, okay? but her name or her image is the image of Barashiel, which is the image of Zedekiah, which is the image of the archangel Jupiter. So she called her by a different name, but when I looked up the one that sounded the most like what she was talking about, it ended up being Zedekiah or Geira, who we have already been working with. So this is a full circle. This is why the first book I read was a book of remembrance of Melchizedek, and I just could not get off. Who is Geira? Who is this? Who is Zedekiah? Why doesn't everybody look her up? It's because when it said in that book, that Geira was specifically for our women here on the fourth station, that was not a hyperbole. That was a 100% factual statement. It's just that everybody is not a elemental magician. There's other people who are good at other things. Elemental magicians are going to be working with Zedekiah, who we've already been working with for a whole year. Over a whole year. Some people longer. I don't know when other people read the book. I'm new. So I've been working with her for a whole year. So this is like a full circle. Like, okay, she is really the gatekeeper of the elemental magic. That was not a coincidence. And it was also stated in that book, the Book of Remembrance of Melchizedek, that she was the one who was helping us here on the fourth station. She was one specifically assigned to us. Why is that? Because she's specifically assigned to be the gatekeeper. And you have to listen to Magenta's video to get the whole understanding on that. But I just focus in on what applies to us. And so elemental magic is what we will be doing. Elemental magic is what we are in charge of. We have to take our role in this process. There's other people who are in charge of the other gates, the maiden, the mother and the crone gates. We're not running those gates right now. We're running the not the lower gate, but the gate that's actually the physical gate that's here, which is the gate to the fairy kingdom, which is ruled or run or controlled, or the gatekeeper is Geira. And so this is why this made me think of why Peter and Paul had to basically be released from this thing could not have come about without canceling the dumb diverses. Let me just say that. This could not have come about without canceling that contract, because Peter and Paul were subjugated to basically being the gatekeepers of this realm as a result of the dumb diverses tying them to evaluating each person and saying that the ones who were fighting on behalf of the dumb diverses was actually the ones who were to be seen as babies, as innocents, to be weighed on the scale and be found innocent. So this has basically been like a fight between Peter and Paul, who are like supposed to be at the gates of heaven, and Mayat, who's supposed to be, weighing hearts in general. It's just been this big gatekeeper battle, and so and as above, so below, because they were battling up there over who was in charge of the gates. They're battling down here over who's in charge of the gates. But who are the gates? Who has the gates? It's we have the gates. We have 3 gates no one else has. 3 portals that we have. And anyway, I don't even know when I made a video on that. That was a long time ago. But we have 3 gates, 3 portals, and no one else has. Literally. It's only us. So anyway, all the information ties together across the pantheons, which is why you can't. So like Magenta, she channels the White Wing Collective of 9. I don't know who that is, but what they say resonates with me. Especially when they talk about the things that relate to the elemental world, which is the fairies, the pixies, the gnomes, that stuff. I can relate to that because I understand those are the elements, the salamander kingdom, the gnomes, all of that. That's all us. So, definitely get into fairy tales, the old ones, it's so many books on LibriVox where you can listen to the stories. I share a lot of them, and it's so much wisdom in those stories that it's kind of like unbelievable, because I know no one would believe it if, if I just told you that. Okay, here's a perfect example. One of those fairy tale stories, it talks about how there were three women. Oh no, let me do this one. In one of the fairy tales, there was a witchess, not a witch. The witches were the bad ones, but there was a witchess, like a negress, okay? Like that's what they called us. If you go back, all the way back to my video on the druids and the orgone technology, they called us negress, okay? So in that book, it was a witchess, okay? The witchess, she had a little pot. She made smiles, so people would smile and be happy. Well, she was making a pot of these smiles, and instead of, it burned. So everybody got mad. And so what happened was this pot of smiles flew out everywhere. It hit the king's house. The king had come by for some reason. He could smell the pot and he asked for some. And while he was asking for it, the pot burned up. Okay. So that means all the negative feelings, it went out to everywhere, right? And so he gets back to the castle. It didn't affect him, didn't affect the king. He gets back to the castle. The wife is mad. They got a whole convoy of people there from another kingdom. All of them are mad and fighting and talk about they about to have war and all of that. The king goes back to the witchess and is like, hey, I need some of those rubbery dubbery smiles, man. These people is getting ready to fight. So she whips another batch up of the smiles. I think it'll literally called rubbery dubbery smiles. She whips another batch up of the smiles. Everybody's getting ready to fight, start this battle in front of her house. She throws the pot up. All the rubbery dubbery smiles go to everybody. Everyone's happy. Except the king gets back to the castle. The queen was still there. She didn't get a rubbery dubbery smile. So the king flies back to the witchess, asks her, do you have any more? She's like, no, I threw them all up in the air. Then she goes to look at the pot, one left. She takes the king takes the pot back, or the rubbery dubbery smile back to the castle, gives it to the queen. Now the queen is happy. Then after that, he says, he invites the witchess to come and live in the castle because they need somebody who can always put on rubbery dubbery smiles for people. But first there's a wedding. She goes to the wedding and then she goes back to live with the king and she's taken care of. That's one story. That made me remember the other story. The other story was, it was three magicians, three wise men. And the king, he had a problem because he had a stick up his behind. And so he wanted these wise men to give him something new to ask for, new to do, whatever. And they were out of ideas. So the wise men's wives say, listen, we got an idea. Let us give him something to do. You guys take a break. Because they was getting ready to pack up and leave town because that king had told him, yeah, if you can't find something for me to do, something new for me to have, you're going to have to go. So they was packing up to leave town. They was just going to run away. So the wives were like, no, we got something for that. They go to the king. We're like, whatever we say for you to do, you're going to have to do it. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. He said, we just want to make sure you're going to do it because you asked for something and we got something. Do you know these women told him he needed to go to the next town over, dress like a pauper, and clean baseboards or something like that. He was like, oh my gosh, like, why did I agree to this? But he had to do it. So he put on his pauper clothes, went to the next town, started cleaning, realized how stupid he was and how much stuff he had and how much excess he had. While he was gone, the three women were running the country. Perfect. They did a perfect job. So when those three women get back, when the king gets back, after he did his thing, the king comes back. He's like, I'm sorry. He apologized to the women. And he makes sure that he treats the people in his kingdom right, because while he was gone, those women had run the kingdom so well that he knew that if he started treating the people bad like he was doing before, they would dispose him and they would put those women in power. And they were magicians' wives. So, and then he also invited them to come live in the castle so that he could take care of them too. So guess what? Every time one of our women goes out and do something, now you know they're talking about all Negroes, Negresses, okay? These are black women, elemental magicians that did this. Because even in the story with the witchess, is the fact that, I mean, just in general, the fact that they specify there's witches who are bad and there's the witchess. Like, witchess? What's that mean? I said, and I remember negress. They called us negresses. That's why. So, what I'm saying is it's not without understanding. Everybody knows. It's all been set up. It was sitting right in our faces for us to figure it out, and now we are going to use and wield the power to actually help people. And that's what we're going to do. This is why we're having a class. You will be able to help the people in your community. That you don't have to send them to me for this and that. No, you'll be able to look at what's going on with them and give them something to do. That's the whole point of, we're just masterminding it. But you got to go out in your community and you got to be the one to implement it for your people. I can't do it for everybody. It doesn't even make sense. So while you learn how to do it for yourself, you'll figure out how to help the people who come to you. That's just how it works. So instead of, keeping it for myself and all this wild stuff, you'll have all the information. Because like I said, the classes are going to be free. You only pay for the replays, of course. And, people will be able to get their readings and stuff like that on the website. So if they need a reading, something specific, they can go to the website. If they have questions about the reading, a lot of y'all have had readings, y'all be able to explain it to people. I'm going to do another class for the tarot spiral. I'm not ready for that yet. It's going to take a little bit more work to get that prepared, because it's going to be a book that goes along with it, as well as the cards and the posters and stuff. So not ready for that. We're just going to start with the elemental magic, which is specifically looking at the new moons and the full moon. So we may end up having more Zoom calls, but they're not going to be associated with the elemental magic. But they are all going to be available for people to participate in, watch, get the information, and be able to go out and assist other people. We're just going to do it in the form of classes. It just makes more sense. It's not the only way to do this thing, but it's the one that makes the most sense to me right now, unless something else makes itself known. So I didn't want to make this video too long, but I did want to emphasize. So again, if you want to be on the list for the calls, please make sure that you sign up for my newsletter. That's where I'm going to disseminate the information. That's the only place I'm going to disseminate the information. I'm not going to put the links to the Zoom calls on YouTube. I will talk about them. I'll say you need to go check your email if you need the link or whatever. I'm not going to put them on no. Turn around because I'm not done. The information will not be on YouTube. Period. Okay? The information will not be on YouTube. I'm not gonna put the links. That stuff's not gonna be on YouTube. You have to sign up for my newsletter. It's gonna be there. Okay? That's the only way for me to make sure that the YouTube people stay on YouTube and don't come and pester us in our classes. The ones who want to be able to do elemental magic in the proper way with the proper protocols. The ones that are going to be working with Gaira. Now, I'm sure there will be other elemental magicians. However, this is going to be a huge part of what happens. How we are able to organize ourselves and go through this, whatever. It's going to really depend. It's going to be dependent on how well we put this together, which is why I'm taking the time to put this together in the way that I am, so that we can make sure that we have the best organized group. We have to be the most organized. We are the ones with the most information that's directly in our DNA. We have to be the ones who are the best organized, and we conduct ourselves in the best way, and we make it easy to pass this information on to those who come behind us. We have to do that. That's things that we have not done in the past. This information has been all over the place. We have to do better. So that's why I'm setting it up the way that I am. So hopefully this makes sense to everyone. Hope everyone enjoyed their Day of Atonement. And you got your visit from the Most High. I actually had dinner with King David. Have no idea how to explain this to anybody, and I'm not. But that's what happened. Somehow, some way, I ended up at a dinner with someone I can only assume is King David. It's crazy. So that was like my pre-Day of Atonement event, which told me what I needed to prepare for the Day of Atonement. So everybody got their own experiences. That was mine. So of course, if you have any questions, please just send me an email. I'm trying to get back on the email train. You'll see the links to products. I'm going to start posting more stuff like that. We're going to get this business moving. We have to be very, very strategic in the way that we operate. And that's how we're going to moving forward. You'll see all the information on how to get the information on YouTube, but the actual links and stuff like that will not be on YouTube. So I hope that is helpful for people who are going to be trying to understand what's going on. So, shalom everyone, and we'll see you in the next video.